Okay, hello. Welcome to my first post about my actual trips around the world. So today I'm going to talk about my experience hitchhiking and traveling and couchsurfing in Iran. So here you can see this is where I traveled in Iran. And I'll talk about the first part from Tehran, the capital, down to Isfahan, which is one of the big tourist attractions, and then to Ahwaz and Abadan. The rest, all the way up to Turkmenistan, I'll leave for another day. And yeah, we'll talk about some of the fun times I've had here. So anyway, I flew from New Zealand to Iran, to Tehran. And when I went to my hostel, one of the first things to greet me was these double toilets. I'm not sure if if this is normal wherever the country is that you're watching from. If you like to, I suppose, go and do your business with with your best mate and have a chit chat while you're doing it. I don't know. I thought it was a little amusing. I shared my amusement in Iran with some Iranians, and they couldn't quite understand why I was so amused. And then I don't have too many pictures of Tehran. I was there for a few days, but here is walking in the bazaar, one of the big bazaars in Tehran, full of people, very like lots of things to go shopping for. Here's one of the fairly typical streets in Tehran. I think black is the favorite color of choice of clothing in Tehran. People were very friendly. It was a very interesting place. It kind of felt like a cross between the Middle East and India, the subcontinent, or at least to my way of thinking. Here is the subway. What's not really shown here is just how packed this subway was. It was quite something else. And the escalators in the subway, again, not really shown, is just how packed this subway was. Doesn't really come across in the pictures. I didn't spend so much time in Tehran, but I hitchhiked my way south to Isfahan. This is like just taken en route as I was hitchhiking. And then this is one of the main attractions in Tehran, in Isfahan. And here you have the horse and carriage for the tourists, and I think this is World Heritage listed. There's some beautiful architectures here. It's free to go and see. You just walk around. There's tea shops, there's markets everywhere inside these buildings. It was quite beautiful. It was very interesting. But again, I spent most of my time in Isfahan with friends I met there from couchsurfing and going about with tea. So tea is important, of course. Here's some Persian tea with some honey sugar that you dip in your tea and it dissolves, and you drink your sweet tea. Exchanging money. That's something else in Iran. Due to hyperinflation and not revaluing their currency, you get a lot of money for your money. So what was the exchange rate? So this is 100,000 Rio, or 10 tuman as they would say. That's worth less than $1 US. So at the time, it was probably worth, every one of those notes is worth maybe about 70 cents. So you can see how you might have a lot of currency, like a lot of cash, but you can't actually pay much for it. So I couldn't resist a picture of me looking super rich with all this money. In reality, it was only like $200 or $300 or something. Yeah. Some of the food and drinks are good there. So this was just a drink I had in Iran. It was very good. Just hanging out with people, having friends, and right. This is down in Ahwaz in Khuzestan. So this is the Arab part of Iran. So everyone here is Arab, ethnic Arab. They speak Arabic. They're a very different identity. It's right near the border with Iraq. And yeah, you see the children playing here, and I'm staying with some friends in here. This is not a touristic area. There are almost no tourists in this part of Iran, and this is where I had some of my best adventures. Some of my best times were here. So the lady here is is a friend of mine. She and her husband took me out to see the ziggurat. This is a very, very old ziggurat. Forgive my pronunciation, but it's something like Chocha Zambo ziggurat, and it dates from 1250 BC. So it is a very old ziggurat. It's like more than 3,000 years old, and just sitting out there in the desert with very few people going to see it. It was very interesting. And here is some of the plan, the reconstruction of the ziggurat, of the temple. Yeah, and we're pretty free to walk around and see different parts of it. And here's like a panoramic view of the ziggurat. Yeah, we walked around it. There's parts of it that you couldn't go to because it's fenced off, but yeah, definitely worth going to see. So it's been partly reconstructed so you can see what it would have been like, but not so much so that they've destroyed the original. Yeah, partly restored. Yeah, walking around the ziggurat, and he is also one of my hosts who was taking me out for the day, showing me around. Oh, and then at nighttime, so alcohol is forbidden in Iran. They're not allowed to have it. So this is one of the most surreal moments of traveling. So here I'm with an Arab host. And I'm in his shed with all these canaries, as you can see in the background, and he's dressed in his traditional Arabic clothing, can't speak any English, as friendly as you could ever hope to find friendly, and we're drinking some illegal Shiraz wine from bottles of acetone. Look at the bottle he's holding. It's an old bottle of acetone. The surreal moments of drinking illegal alcohol from bottles of acetone with Arabs in a shed full of canaries in a town in a city in Iran on the border of Iraq. It was quite something else. So here are the friends. That's his wife and his kids, and then on the left are my friends who are my hosts. Yeah, drinking and having a very, very good time. Yeah, and of course eating with the Iranians, with the Arab Iranians. Very, very friendly, welcoming people. So visiting some more of their friends. This is Arabic coffee. Very important, like there, that you drink their coffee. It's very offensive if you do not drink coffee if you are their guest. So this is how they make it in these special cups, and this is the coffee. So kind of like, I don't know, an Arabic espresso, I suppose. So you drink this, and he's my host. We're having a bit of a joke here. He's telling me that he wants to shoot me. And so we're having a good chuckle about this. So he is a horse breeder, and he has some special breeds of Arabic horses. I don't actually have any pictures of them at the moment, I think. Yeah, he showed me his horses, his stables. Unfortunately, it is Iran, so there is quite a lot of corruption. So one time the police came and accused him of subversing the government, and they basically stole some of his horses and a bunch of his money. But he is not deterred, and he's building his horses back up. All right, here is like from the marshes, traditional Arabic marsh structure. This is made of reeds. So this is actually at a restaurant in Iran. And yeah, this is traditional for the marsh Arabs. I can tell you more about that in another video. Here's an aviary in Iran where you can go and buy birds, or just hold the parrots if you'd rather. And then here's some fishing boats on the river, on the border with Iraq, and the old fishing boats. When I went on this boat, the Arab owner, he said that I should be his guest for 2 days, and he was asking my hostess if I could stay with him and be his guest, because people love guests here. But the funny thing is, he wasn't asking me if I wanted to be his guest. He was asking my host. It was as though it was her decision, not mine, where I stay. This is a border town, Abadan, with in Iran, on the border with Iraq. If anyone is familiar with the Iran-Iraq War of 1989, this is where they were fighting. And yeah, so you can see the bullet holes here, unfortunately. Hasn't been repaired. This was all through the town, all through the city. And yeah, so this is countryside around here. This is the oil-producing region of Iran, right on the border with Iraq. And yeah, so that was a very quick overview of some of the things I did in this first part of my Iranian trip. I'll cover my second Iran trip in a future video, and I may also talk more extensively about some of the experiences here. But anyway, so this was just a couple weeks of my life on the road. Like, I've been living for 4 years, so I've been traveling and doing this sort of thing for about 4 years now. So I will be releasing more videos about this, so please stay tuned and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.